Good afternoon, and welcome to our final presentation on well-being and our final meditation for this series. I'm Kim Durga from the Wellbeing Initiative, and we're very delighted to be showing this presentation, which I hope is helpful, as we vision a new normal in the workplace. And that's really our objective for this session, is to share some ideas that have worked in our workplace and that have worked in other people's workplaces too. Before we do that, we acknowledge the custodians of the land on which we're meeting, and we pay our respect to the elders past, present, and emerging. Just take a moment to connect in and move your shoulders a bit, move your chin up and down, and just release any stress that you might be holding in the upper part of the body. Take a deep breath. And imagine you can just breathe out all over your body, releasing the stress. And just coming into right now and looking at that lovely image on the screen, think how nice would it be to be standing in the sunshine there in that lovely field with those beautiful trees. Wouldn't that be great? Very nice. Alrighty, self-care is the name of the game, and that's really what we've really got to get good at, I suppose, if we're going to avoid burnout and the raft of disasters that can come when we allow burnout into our lives. It actually sneaks up on us, so it's not very hard to get burnt out. We often think we can't change. That really is an internal fallacy. And really, when we need to, we can change. So let's just have a look at some of the signs of burnout. We went through this in detail in one of our previous sessions, and so I would refer you back to the session on the signs of burnout. But it's a pretty extensive list of what can start to happen for us when we be Superman or Superwoman for too long. I've been through burnout myself, and I know what it's like, and I also know the mental attitude involved is, it's all right, I can just. It's all right, I'll just. And then the I'll just keeps going on and on and on. Before you know it, nobody can withstand too much for too long. Nobody can. We all need to eventually take heed of what our body's telling us, take heed of the way we're feeling, and make some changes. So that's what this session's about. There was a previous session about visioning a new normal for yourself personally, and this one is really some new possibilities to bring them into focus as to what's happening in the world of work in other places where people are really taking well-being seriously. So the first thing is to just check in to see whether or not your colleagues are going okay. And if you think that someone you know at work is suffering from burnout, then the best thing to do is acknowledge that with the person, to just ask them if they're okay. You know, it is a serious condition. It does require help. It is a disease. It's not their imagination. It's not your imagination either. And they do need to get some help. Apart from the medical avenues available, there's also lift therapy, which we do in our organisation, which is a non-medical approach, but it is an evidence-based approach. We've done studies on our ways of helping people that have been very successful at showing benefits for people who've been depressed or anxious or very stressed. And lift is a very gentle, non-invasive therapy that's based on helping people flourish. We do need some time to make some changes, and the most important thing that the literature shows about helping people avoid burnout is that they have agency, that there's some control over their situation. So when things keep changing in ways that people don't have control over, when they can't control how long they're at work or their starting and finishing times or time to do things they need to for their family, it really does contribute to burnout. And of course, one of the big indicators that things are not going well is that we can't sleep. So if someone around you seems to be having some of these issues or problems, it's very important that we don't tease or criticize them, but instead building rapport and finding a quiet moment where we can ask them if they're all right. And usually that's best done in a more private way. Maybe ask them if they want to have a cup of coffee, something like that. And you don't have to solve their problem. And I think that's a very important part of this whole business, is to know that you don't have to solve it, But just by being present and showing up for a person, asking them if they're all right, just from your human kindness, that can make all the difference to that person's well-being and really affect their future. Listening is the big thing here, and maybe providing info for how they can get some help, but you don't have to do it. I think it's really good, if we're talking about well-being, for each person to have a bit of a self-care plan. What is it that you know you need in order to stay well? And I think really we do know what we need, but sometimes I think if it's not put in the calendar, if I don't have that in my personal diary, then how much emotional commitment do I really have to doing anything really? If it's not in my diary, it tends to not happen. So one of the ways one can make progress with a self-care plan is to put it in your calendar, the time you need for the checkups, even use your phone alarms or prompts so that you remember to take prescription medication or vitamins or whatever else it is. And even to move, during the day, set your alarm for every 20 minutes and just get up and move. Can really make a big difference to how you feel at the end of the day. Of course, nourishing food, regular exercise and sleep, all those simple things, very important. And meditation, of course, is part of the solution to avoiding burnout. I'll talk more about the effects of meditation in the workplace a little later. Interacting. This is part of the recipe for a healthy workplace. Encouraging the people you work with to get up and go for a walk at lunchtime and just catch up how you're going. I know of a couple of GPs practices where they've instigated walking at lunchtime, and to great effect because they get to debrief with each other a little bit, but just enjoy time out in the sun or talking about what's going on in their family or whatever. And it's great for team morale to do that. Also, any small investment in time each day where you can connect with the people you work with, it can avert potentially huge issues for individuals and teams. It's got a lot to do with feeling noticed, feeling cared for and validated. If people are able to connect, which is the next thing I'll talk about at the beginning of the day, then that's a really good thing. But if people have staggered workplace starting times, then whoever's the team leader or the practice manager, if they're able to connect with folks and touch base with people each day, it makes a huge difference. And particularly if there's been an event, and let's face it, in health, events come thick and fast, don't they? But some kind of debriefing is good. That's not too heavy and it doesn't take too long, but it's just enough to have that human connection. It can make a lot of difference. So something we use in our business is Connect. And Connect is a way that we come together to establish more of a flow. And it's a flow that you really got to experience it to get it. In a way, it's surprising how much difference it makes if everybody just connects first thing, only for a couple of moments. You do it standing up. It's not a meeting. It's just everybody's sort of showing up with each other. And the effect on team dynamics is pretty amazing. So all staff get together at the beginning of the day. It's just a minute that you just breathe. It's a form of meditation to just everyone close your eyes, take a deep breath in, breathe. And then imagine you're connecting really deeply to the ground. You can make it suit your group. It doesn't have to follow any particular thing, but just coming into the moment is important. And then the group gets to be able to share if there's any special considerations for them today. And that way everyone's in the flow together. And then I would ask everybody what I do. We have 13 on our team. And I ask them, how are you today? And we've gotten very good at being able to say, oh, I'm really great today, or I'm feeling a bit sad, or, I've got stuff going on at home, or whatever. And it's not a big story. It's not a movie. It's not a melodrama. It's just if someone's got stuff going on at home, or someone's feeling sad, or they've got a parent that's very unwell or something like that, they're not likely to be at their best. And whilst we try and show up 100% at work, we are human. And sometimes if there's stuff going on, it's just good that other people know that something's going on so that there's a bit of consideration given to that person. If someone is feeling vulnerable, again, it's not about rescuing them or fixing them or even placating them. It's just acknowledging them. It's like, we see you, And thanks for sharing how you're doing. And I tell you, over time, we've bonded so well and we're so there for each other. And I would say that our productivity is much, much higher than it used to be because the caring is so evident. So, as well as that, there is having a buddy, a well-being buddy. And this is something that I've found is very, very helpful. And the buddy could be someone at work, but it can be anyone who you trust in any part of your life. Could be someone you play tennis with. It could be, whoever, but that you both agree that you will be each other's well-being buddy. And basically, it's a safe space to say how things are for you, where you're able to know that you're not alone, that there is someone who cares about you, and you can afford to be a little more vulnerable with that person in a safe and contained way. They're not your therapist. They're just a person who cares. And for buddy systems, there is a bit of a safety net one can put in place. And the reason to do it, we do make more mistakes when we're stressed. The more we get to burnout, the less our cognitive functions are reliable. And, it's no good for us. It's no good for the business we work in, and it's no good for our patients either. It's true to say that I think that in every profession, individuals at times make mistakes. It's why we call it a practice. We practice our professions. I used to practice law, and sometimes at the end of a case, you'd think to yourself, gosh, if I had to run that case again, I'd do it this other way. And so we're learning all the time. So sometimes we just need to be able to check in with someone we trust, that there's that safe space where we can unburden and debrief. So again, it's not the whole telephone book of every detail. It's just sharing the essence of it, because the burden is lighter if shared. And I actually think that it's a bit scary to hold on to all the pressure that builds up internally if there have been some errors made without being able to share it with someone. So the containment in this system is that you both hold each other accountable for self-care in a friendly kind of a way. It's confidential, that everything is able to be shared in safety, and that there is a space held. And I would suggest that it's a weekly meet up. The focus is on listening to the other person and avoiding of posturing. So I'm fine doesn't really cut it in a buddy system situation. It's about, this week this was happening and that was happening. And I'm actually traveling pretty well, but I've got this coming up, and whatever's your truth. So we're not fixing. It's at least a weekly catch up, and it's not about the ins and outs of what's happening in the workplace. It's about your self-care. So if you are buddying with someone at work, you don't let your buddy meet up be taken over by work events. All right, so this is very new to some people, but it's becoming more widespread than you'd imagine, and that is a place where people can meditate in the workplace. Mind you, I'm not sure about their posture and whether or not that would be very good for their necks, the way they're sitting on those chairs. Be that as it may, meditation in the workplace. The information I'm about to share with you comes from an article by Wendy Woods called Meditating at Work, a New Approach to Managing Overload. And there's a citation there if anybody's interested. So basically, if we meditate each day, and you can do it at work. I know that there's plenty of firms I know of that have now set up meditation spaces. Concentration becomes better. The alpha rhythms in the brain that screen out distractions seem to work better. We have better decision making. People can separate their emotions from their decisions when they're faced with seemingly unfair choices. And we can take in information effectively and respond nimbly and creatively. So there's a flow-on effect of the activation of the left prefrontal cortex, which brings better mood. So this is number 3 of 10 workplace benefits. The next one is increased empathy. It's found that compassion meditation, where you focus on compassion and empathy for others, has helped people be able to be more present for other people. Social connectedness is enhanced, and a more positive attitude towards strangers. There's also a more positive emotional state and the minimization of emotional overlay that can cloud our decision-making and thinking capabilities. Number 7, there is more likely to be positive mood. And if someone is at work who's in a bad mood, which happens, sometimes that can spread through the place, don't you think? That it just goes from person to person. Before you know it, everyone's in a bad mood. So that's called emotional contagion. And basically, when there's meditation daily, it seems that there's less scope for emotional contagion to really take hold, and people are in a more positive state. Number 8, there's more adaptive response to negative or stressful events. Again, thanks to the help that our left prefrontal cortex receives. There's increased self-awareness, always a good thing, providing insights to identify and improve on areas of weakness while capitalizing also on strengths. An increase in the part of the brain associated with self-awareness. And lucky last, number 10 is personal productivity goes up when meditation is encouraged in the workplace. So that's quite a list of benefits. And so, yeah, if you haven't tried it already, regular meditation, and particularly in the workplace, very, very good for everybody. All right, well, let's start now with a bit of a meditation. And wherever you are, just get yourself comfortable. I like to sit on the front edge of the seat to meditate rather than sitting back. Keeps your spine kind of straight, and you get used to that after a while. It feels really quite good. Hands face up to receive energy, feet on the floor, and then just focus on your breath, and we'll have a nice little meditation. So breathing in and just being aware of the breath as it leaves your body. And thinking of all the things I've just been discussing and your morning today. Just coming into the deeper part of self. And intending that in our meditation today, we'll be alleviating some stress and tension. So we'll do a lift style meditation to release any blockages to being able to take care of ourselves in this way to avoid burnout. So if you're in a place where you can do the releases out loud, that's the best. And if not, do them inside your mind and use your breath to then release the energy that we're getting rid of from the body. And you'll probably find by the end that you'll be feeling lighter and have a bit more spring in your step. Here we go. Say, I now release all negative energy, all negative thoughts, and all negative emotions from my body, mind, and energy field. And breathing in and releasing. Thinking about this morning, and if anything stands out in your mind as having been a bit tricky, say, I now release all of my connections to the events of this morning that would contribute to stress. And breathe deeply in and imagine that you can release the breath through your head region, letting go of all that old stuff. Take another breath in and just imagine that you can release the breath out through the back of the chest area, out through your back. And say, I release all negative interactions that have played out in the workplace today or in the past. And I set myself free to be present in this moment. And breathing in and releasing through the back of the body. And thinking of any times in the past where perhaps when you think about it now, you could have done it a different way or a better way. And say, I now release all mental, emotional burdens from times in the past where in hindsight I'd do things differently. And breathing in and releasing. And say, I choose to take the learning from all parts of my professional life to be contemplative and receptive to new forms of learning that are for my highest good. And breathing in and releasing. Think about personal interactions in the workplace. Think of anybody who you might find a little tricky. And say, I now release all stress arising from interpersonal relationships, now or in the past, that I've encountered at work. And breathing in and releasing everywhere. And imagine you can call your essence back from anything that's been tricky. We'll just give it a go and see what it feels like. Say, I call back the essence of who I be. I call back my energy from all of the situations where I feel that I lost my own potency. And I set myself free to be balanced, calm, and present in the now. And breathing in and releasing through the back part of the body. And let's just tell our subconscious that our future doesn't have to be the same as our past. So speaking to yourself internally and say, I set myself free to find new ways of engaging in the workplace that bring deeper satisfaction and less harmful levels of stress. And breathing in and releasing everywhere. And let's make space for our own well-being and perhaps for finding a well-being buddy. So say, I choose to make space in my life for my own well-being. And breathe in to the forehead area. Imagine that thought can go right into the frontal cortex. And let's say that again. Say, I choose to make space for my own well-being, even when I'm busy. I choose to create a sustainable workflow. And breathing in and hold, and then releasing everywhere. Let's release any mental and emotional burdens we're carrying. So think about the body and say, I now release all mental and emotional burdens that are holding me back from inner peace and efficacy in the workplace and in life generally. and breathing in and releasing, really using your breath. And now let's turn to the body and just be aware if there are any areas of pain or discomfort in your body right now. And breathing right into that area. Be really focused on the area. And thinking about the color or shape or sensation that is there, the way the energy is sitting. And then with a deep breath, just releasing energy through that region. And then with the next in-breath, imagine you can breathe in light, like the light from the sun, and take it to the area that is feeling discomforted. And imagine that thousands of pinpricks of light can go through the area, releasing tension and releasing stress from the body. And then breathing in and releasing. And let's choose to create connection in the workplace and with a buddy. Say, I now choose to help create more connection with the people I work with, to give and receive support for our shared journey. And breathing in and hold, and then breathing normally. And just allow your mind to wander into the future where you've found a really great wellness buddy, and smiling at this person, whether you know them yet or not, whether you can see a face or not, and say, it's my intention to create a well-being buddy and to connect weekly for mutual support and listening. And breathing in and hold, and then releasing everywhere. And just for a few minutes, we're going to enjoy more of a silent style of meditation. So just take your awareness to your breath. And watching your mind for the next thought that emerges in the mind, just watching the mind. And as a thought emerges, just imagine you can blow the thought out of your mind with a smile and let it go. And return your awareness to your breath. When the thoughts arise, you just let them go gently. Use your breath and imagine just they blow easily out. Keep your awareness on the breath. We'll do 12 breath cycles. A cycle is in and out. Slow and deep breathing. All the way down into your belly with a long, slow out breath. Keep your awareness on your breath. Let any thoughts go as they emerge in the mind. Go back to your breath. Three more breath cycles now. And now just being aware of the center of the chest. And sending a wave of appreciation to everybody that you work with. And imagine the afternoon being flowing, fulfilling, and fun. And bring your awareness back into your body and open your eyes. Thanks for joining us today. And if you want more of these meditations, then there are lots of them on our website, the Wellbeing Initiative, and you can find us here, thewbi.org, and there's lots of free resources. All you've got to do is click on the listen button and they'll play, and they were designed for people in health. So I hope that you get some benefit from those. And also remembering that the PHN has got a lovely list of resources, including the other 11 meditations in this session in their education portal. And they also have lots of details about all the other mental health supports that are out there, of which there are now many, which is great. So, if you'd like to have individual work done with us, then we can accommodate that. We have many beautiful therapists who work with lift, and it's a wonderful experience to have lift. So, maybe we'll see you at our beautiful centre in Kurrumbong, or more likely online, because that's how we do most of our work these days, as I'm sure many of you are doing too, particularly at the moment. All the best, and thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be with you. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.